This is Joe Linz, and I'm flying solo today, and thank you for joining us. So the first thing we want to do today's topic is how to create a great CMA or a great listing presentation. And the first thing we got to think about is data delivery, and how we're going to deliver that data to the prospect. And the first thing you got to do is gather that data for that particular house. The first thing is I would call the title company and I would order up a property profile. At that point, that's going to give you a whole lot of information. It's going to give you all the recorded information that's against the property, the deeds, whether or not it's in a trust, and give some comparables from that, from their point of view also, which is not always the stuff that's in the multiple listing service, which is important to see as well. The next thing you do is, in preparing that, you got to go into the multiple listing service and pull up the other comps as well. And what I like to do is, I use the map section of the MLS, put in the address, and then especially if I'm in a specific track, I can really, set the parameters of that on the map, which would allow me to look at what the comparables are, what's actively on the market, what's pending, what's under contract, and what has closed in the last 180 days. I think that information is critical as well. The other thing I think you have to do is what I would do is on your computer, you've got to have a file with a checklist. And in that checklist is, you need to have your resume. You've got to have your company profile and tradition. You've just got to have what's your value package, what are you doing that's different that will set you apart from other realtors who are out there competing for that listing. And are you able to put that into a written form? The next thing you need to do is, and this is something that you need to do every day, is preview. I think it's important that when we go out and look at a home, when you're previewing, you're looking at homes, and when you go out and do a listing presentation, you can tell that potential seller that you're speaking with that, I was in that home when it was on the market 6 months ago. I remember what it looked like. I know how it compares to yours. I think that's important data for you to keep in your mind, and that's the importance of previewing, especially going out on broker preview and seeing what they're doing out there, and just what's the inventory look like, what does it feel like, what's your gut tell you about when you're in that property. Once you sit down with that seller, I think you've got to establish what the price is. And really working off of what the comparables are, what the condition is, how they compare to the other properties, and just getting a general feel and be able to communicate how you're going to be able to market the property and the tools that you have available to you, and how they'll be able to relate to that and what's important to them. And I think number one is, and there's a lot of number ones in this topic today, but the big thing is to find out what's really important to the seller. I mean, it's what's important to them. Marketing, some people may not even give a rip about the marketing. Others may want to have just formal glossy brochures, and a lot of times price point, that's what makes that important as well. So that's one thing, is going through your value package, and maybe you've got a different types of value package depending on the price point of the property that you're going out and taking a look at. But I think organizational and preparation is critical. When you're prepared, you put together a much better presentation. The next thing is how does it physically look? Is it, are you just putting it in a folder? Are you just handing somebody a piece of paper or papers that do this? Or are you putting it into a nice binder, having that bound to where it looks good, to where it's a leave behind, to where you're looking at it and they're seeing it? And they can review that document. And a lot of times, an engineer is going to look at it differently than a salesperson will. A salesperson will look at it, they'll look at the pictures and thumb through. An engineer, more analytical, attorney, accountant is going to really take a look at that and thumb through it and look at the comparables, and you may want to just make sure you study that before you go out and do the best, and really put together a really nice presentation. I think the other thing is to have dialogue to where you can answer questions. And the most important thing is when you're answering questions, I found that a lot of folks, when you get into that dialogue, they're busy thinking about their response as opposed to really listening to what the client has to say. And really reiterating that and saying, so what I'm hearing you saying is this. What I'm hearing you saying is that open houses are important to you. And if that's what is important to them, then you focus on that and you answer those questions and make sure you're doing that right. But the big thing is to really prepare for that listing presentation, knowing the inventory around you, being able to look at the other houses out there that are available, and putting together the right data for them and having good information on that. And then also dress for success. I remember a coach used to always say, you can never outdress your customer. And so make sure you look good, look professional, and be prepared to deliver on everything you promise. With that, I think I've covered the listing presentation really quickly, how to prepare for that, how to put that information together, and going out there and really putting together a nice package. So with that, charge on.